I'm going to say a few things at the beginning which may or may not be appropriate in the long run to keep on the video, so I'm not sure, because I'm not sure what to say. But yeah, so tonight we have 2 segments of poetry, and I'm going to start off with some of my own work. And because I'm leaving tomorrow, just to say a bit about what I've been up to for the last 2 weeks, which just flew by. And David's going to join me, and we're going to present a piece that we've been working on for a stretch now. So obviously I'm a poet. That's something that it's very clear in terms of how I understand myself. And it's also very clear in how I understand my relationship to the troubles of the world. And this notion of learning the land, seeing the land, I feel the same relationship to language and poetry. So for this residency, it's been an excellent moment or pause. Saying to David on the way over here, like, as much as we engage in the external struggles and we're trying so hard to figure out this complex thing, this moment in terms of reconciliation, so much of the work very clearly for me is about trying to understand self and to build and strengthen a true sense of consciousness. And that is one of the gifts in terms of what poetry does for me. So in addition to this composition that David and I have been meditating, thinking, and writing on, I've progressed in a very significant way in terms of my next project, which is a book. And last week I submitted all the materials necessary to put that officially in the works to be launched as a forthcoming work in spring of this coming year, which is a big deal if you know me, to find time and space to do that. And poetry is something that's not good to talk about too much, but I am going to read just this little blurb to explain the project, because otherwise I'll ramble. And just do that. So the title, which also came last week, and the last look over my shoulder from Gabe, much appreciation, is called From the Poplars. There is an uninhabited island at the east end of the north arm of the Fraser River. It is lush and unspoken, but storied. In the midst of major industry and shipping, Poplar Island is central to the waterfront of British Columbia's original capital of New Westminster. Its ubiquitous greenery is passed by daily by thousands of SkyTrain commuters. This island is a traditional burial grounds for the Kikite peoples, the location of one of British Columbia's first Indian reserves, a site where many indigenous smallpox victims from throughout BC's south coast were quarantined and buried, a place where trees were clear-cut for various iterations of industry, a major shipbuilding concern during the First World War, and booming anchorage for the local sawmills. From the Poplars will be a poetic outcome of archival research, some of which has been underway for me for the past year, and of listening to stories, so again, an ongoing effort. It is a meditation on 27.5 acres of land held as government property, and on the waterfront of a neoliberal city built upon erasures. From an emplaced, mixed, black, diasporic poet and resident of New Westminster, this text is present in efforts of decolonization, the trials of reconciliation, and movements, plural, to defend land and water from extraction. It tempers a silence that inevitably will be heard. One of the things that I have lots of research documents been sort of working with, and some of which I brought with me. One of the things I learned last week was that the last movement of Kikite people from the New Westminster area, families were sent to the residential school here at Kamloops, and never to return back to that band. Actually, that's a longer story, and the band, which was rendered extinct or removed from the official records as the band members' populations dwindled in such a way, and they were absorbed, I think, mainly by the muskrat. But in the mid-1990s, some folks rediscovered themselves, including a fascinating, beautiful character, strong character, Rhonda Larrabee, who's currently the chief of the Kikai people, who, after living most of her life in Chinatown nearby the downtown East Side community, which I worked for the last decade and a half or so, discovered that she wasn't Chinese, but in fact Kikai, and then sought her family out and built the records, did the research, went to Ottawa, these kinds of things. So now a reassertion both of the people and the relationship to the land. And been listening to all of this with this past stretch, and I know I have a role to play. So I'm just going to read a few poems, just a couple of poems from this project, and I look forward to sharing that final work when it appears. The road winds up to Stolo's questions. What names the banks, the river seeks. The long road winds down to Kamloops Residential School, names the hills, the tributary meets. Near designated pathways, prison guards shine a light through bars, check alive and in your cell. Multi-level maximum valuation, disproportionate cash flow risk requirement, return on equity. Pathogens, then, is plantation that is sitting target. To emerge, all along languages, tip, mouth, ulcers, preceding, settlement, laminated, root rot, refractive, indices, hunger in the neighboring parts of the body, dull internal organs, engage in outside movement, extend, sense, location, looking at, or going to, attend place, eroded by tugboats in the river's north arm. I reside here. Straight ahead in the dark shore versus away at night, death sands wrap 27.5 acres. What traditional variola vera droplets cannot express. Quarantine and bury there the government. Had not taken the island's graves into account, warships, wartime built, the view down the launch ramp. Effort, hundreds of workers who walked that parcel. Last a ranchery, raw, roll up, roar, raw, connected, corridor. Or over the north side shadow, moonlight streams through a dark, dumpy comb of reeds. Ribbons flail, angles strain out of water, breath taking. Come out of time for this turn. Silent shore, just a blurb to poplars, wild cherry, cottonwood, English ivy, black willow, empathy. Great choiring branches far beyond. Perches on the damned limbs. It's not a hand while it was writing, while it's the island, not the factory. While their ships, they were family. My figures with sloped shoulders sell newspapers and bags of cherries on Jefferson Boulevard. Come out to Heidelberg Street for this sculpture of stacked oil drums, empty oil drums, USA stenciled on the side, partial size deep into patina's public purpose. Open areas strive, starve, up, and come. Zones to light across worn faces, glassed-in spaces, and all the vacant land and the wide open spaces that we produce. Every autonomy opposed and committed. I'm a reed, I'm a reed, I'm a reed, I'm a reed. I. So that was that part.
Well, now you've taken it entirely.
You're basically naked.